Have you ever tried dieting and felt frustrated with the lack of results? Well, it turns out that dieting may not be the answer to sustainable weight loss. In today's episode, we explore why lifestyle changes are a more effective approach than dieting.
Welcome to the Wellness Champion Podcast, sponsored by Healthy Transformation Nation. We believe that your health and wellness is determined by your own self-care more than anything else. Join us for each episode when we discover and uncover the keys to self-care in today's complex culture. We enjoy helping others discover the best ways to be well. We'll be visiting the basics for self-care and ongoing wellness that enables you to not only survive, but to thrive. Wellness Champion Podcast.
I've sure noticed, and you probably have too, that there are way too many advertisements and disruptive messages about weight loss and your appearance. Are you tired, like me, of the constant bombardment of the diet culture and weight loss promises, which, by the way, are almost always unrealistic? So today we are going to shift our focus to sustainable lifestyle changes that prioritize health over appearance. Now, Nikilette, I know you've had some experience at dieting. What's been your primary motivation for dieting?
Well, I would say when I was younger, it was about how I looked. Definitely about vanity. That was a big thing for me. And I, as young as 12, decided to use coffee as a way of dieting. So if you think about 12 years old, that's really young. The people that my mom and I were living with, they had a coffee maker and they made coffee, and I said, I want to try it. And I started doing that, and I did. I lost some weight. I actually did lose some weight and was, got some attention and stuff like that. But that was very temporary, didn't last very long. And I've tried probably a minimum of 20 different diet plans over the course of my life. It could be more.
That's a lot, but that might not be completely unusual. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know either. I know for myself, I was always looking for the next thing that will work to just get the weight off. And it was definitely about how I looked. I cared about how I looked. I was wanting to drop the pounds, and almost to the point of kind of doing whatever it took to make it happen. And I not only would do diets, but I would also got into exercising as well. But the type of exercising that was going on was good exercise. However, I was using it as a way to sustain some of my eating patterns. So my dieting throughout the years has been very yo-yo, up and down, up and down, up and down. And there were times I would stay in a certain range, but then I go up again and then down again. And so I never had a very sustainable lifestyle. I was constantly dieting. And I would say that was probably about 40 years of my life.
I think that might be a familiar story for many people. Unfortunately. Yeah. And I think that it's driven. Now, keep in mind, I think that we sometimes forget that there is a weight loss industry.
Right.
There's dieting is an industry. I mean, there is an entire industry just that is surrounding weight loss. And it's because of, the other factors that come into play here that has created the industry. And one of those factors, would you agree, would be the pressure, especially on women, to have a certain appearance, to look a certain way.
Absolutely.
Did you feel that pressure?
Oh, I felt that all the time. I mean, I personally felt society had that because I've talked before about when I was in high school, I was bullied. And I was bullied because I was very heavy. And I was not the norm in high school because I was in high school in the 80s. And in the 80s, it was very unusual that people were really overweight. So I was probably maybe out of the whole entire school, maybe one of 5. And I was a target because of it, because I stood out from the rest of the school. And so it was really challenging.
Right. And I think that we've gone from, now this was how many years ago?
30
30
plus.
Okay, so over the course of 30 years,
Yeah.
there has been definitely a shift in the norm
Yes.
of from being overweight to all the way to being obese,
Yes.
where it was one time, like when we were at school age, it was unusual. People who were overweight or even obese were the outliers. Now it's more the norm, I think. And so, unfortunately, that just, the industry is just growing and growing. And up comes the fad diets and the constant yo-yoing and the treadmill thing that you're talking about
Yes.
with all the things that are happening. So, and I know that we've got a list of, we had a list, we were just looking at a list a little while ago of about 20 different diet plans. I know, what are some of the ones that you've experimented with, I guess you could call it, to see if they work?
Yeah, so obviously I tried the coffee.
Yeah.
I also did the Master Cleanse. I did that one as well. And I also tried the Susan Powder diet, Stop the Insanity, and that was a big one. It was high volume, low fat. So you're eating a lot of food and there's no fat in it. And that was not good for me personally. And that's the thing that I feel that the diet industry is missing, is that they just put something out as a one size fits all. Just try it.
Yeah.
But we're not an industry, we're individuals.
Exactly.
And so when you're looking at the individuality piece of it, that's where the diet piece, it doesn't work. That's what I found. For me, it didn't work. I needed to start cultivating a lifestyle.
Exactly, yeah. Well, agreed. I mean, there are so many, too. Aside from the ones you mentioned, there's Atkins, and there's...
Weight Watchers is another one.
There's paleo. There's... what else? Keto.
Yeah.
There's all these different diets. What was the one we were just looking at? The 30 one?
Whole 30.
A Whole 30, right.
Yeah.
Whole 30. There are so many different... And they're all temporary by design. They're not a lifestyle. And what you're saying is that better off with more sustainable changes that you can keep up for your entire life.
Right, and I mean, I think some of the people that created these diets had in mind of helping, not to just take. I'm not saying that all of them were like that, because that's something important, because something like Whole 30, it went out there and it is a great program, but again, that might not be for every single person, because we're not all built the same way.
Yeah.
So for me, that might work for me, but for you, it might not work.
Yeah.
And so there we come again. So not that all of the diets that are out there are per se bad.
No,
I'm not saying that. But what we're saying is that, how do you know that it's going to work for you? So therefore, you're trying it, all of these different ones, and therefore the industry is making the profit. And meanwhile, you're sitting there floundering, going through all of these different diets and wondering, is it going to work this time? And the anxiety and the stress alone, just in that, you put all of your effort to do things the way that it's designed to, especially calories in, calories out, counting calories, weighing your food, I've done all of that stuff.
Yeah.
And that, to me, locks you into a certain lifestyle of always being focused on the diet instead of resonating with your body, connecting to your body, connecting to what your body actually is looking for.
Right. Yeah. And now, we can't go through this whole thing about weight loss plans and diets without talking about the other things that people do. There's weight loss medication, there's supplements, and there's weight loss surgery. Right. So with medications and supplements, one of there's a difference between supplements and medications.
Right.
Supplements are generally less regulated. Medications are generally more tested, through clinical trials, and they're generally more supervised, because they're under the care of a physician. They're prescribed, whereas supplements are usually just available over the counter,
Right.
or you mail order, you send them. You don't need a physician to get them.
Right.
But all of those together, whether they're supplements or medications, I think many people regard them as shortcuts.
Yeah.
I
did.
And they do impact various systems in the body, though.
Well, that's the thing that comes into play that we talked about earlier, is that it becomes a vanity issue. That's how it was for me when it started. It was a vanity issue. And so being willing to take supplements, maybe even take medications to drop the weight, instead of looking at the health part of it and the ramifications of what you're talking about on the body system, where the medications and the supplements, because unless you're a scientist or a chemist, you understand what's actually in them. And if you're not, you don't know what you're really putting in your body. And we're trusting, the supplement coming in, or we're trusting the medication that we're given. But what are those side effects? That's the big thing. So like you talk, a shortcut, yes, but like you are talking about the system, what are the long-term effects of that?
Right. Yeah. I mean, the shortcut. I mean, who doesn't want to take a shortcut, a hack? Right?
Absolutely.
I mean, that's what we're taught to, find the easiest point between A and B, or quickest point, or whatever. Quickest, not point. Those are the points. The quickest method of getting between point A and point B.
Correct.
But sometimes it's just simply not the best way to approach in a situation.
Right.
And, another thing that we kind of have to think about is that many people abuse supplements and medications, especially. Right. And so there's the potential for abuse. There's the potential for someone who the supplements or the medications were not intended for, to abuse them as well. So there's a lot of issues that can surround supplements and medications that that were intended for weight loss solutions. And not to take away from anybody who, they're under the care of their physician, and the physician has recommended these supplements to get them started on a weight loss program, to get them, because maybe they need this. And so, everyone is individual, but just simply, weigh the risks, make sure you understand what the risks are and what that supplement or medication has in store for you. Like what are the ingredients? Where does it come from? How is it designed?
Right. Well, I want to talk about the medication piece of it, because I used to work in a retail environment, and there were people that I worked with that were using ADHD meds as a way to lose weight, and encouraged me to do the same as well. And I was actually in a really desperate situation at that point. I was taking it for the reasons I was taking it for, but that kind of so I changed my prescription to try the other kind to see if that would work. And honestly, I had severe reaction to it. So it didn't agree with my body, and there you go. I went back to my other medication.
So there's a case where you were legitimately taking a medication for its intended purpose.
Correct.
And someone suggested to you that you take this other one that's still for the intended purpose, but that the benefit would be that you'd also lose weight.
Right.
And that's where you ran into trouble with that.
And it didn't work. Yeah. It didn't work because my body didn't like it. It actually rejected that medication. Yeah. So I went back to what I knew, and there I was again. So then I felt defeated again, and I felt lost. And what am I going to do now? And the same thing. It's a cycle that kept happening over and over and over again. And if you think about that, dealing with that stuff for almost 40 years, that's a long time of stress, of feeling defeated, of feeling not understood, not getting it, feeling like there's no answer.
Wow. Yeah. That when you put it that way, in perspective like that, that's pretty big.
It was a really hard time
Now,
in my
had
life.
anyone ever spoken with you about surgery? I know that lots of people talk about weight loss surgery. You know, there's the staple or
The lap band is another
lap
one.
band, yeah.
Yep.
And, you know, I think, now correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that that's usually just reserved for extreme cases.
Yes, that's definitely reserved. I was not at that capacity. My weight capacity was not in a space that I would do that. And my heaviest was when I was in high school. And then after that, after I had my children. But after that, I wasn't as heavy as I had been in high school.
Yeah.
So I would not qualify for something like that. And for myself personally, on my journey, I'm grateful that I didn't qualify for that because of how I live today.
Yeah. I'm happy for you that
Thank you.
that worked out for
Right,
you. Yeah,
right.
absolutely. And you know, although many people do regard this, especially in the extreme circumstances, many regard this as a jumping off point
Yeah.
to weight loss for them to be
Absolutely.
able to, you know, it's a drastic measure, and it will alter the body's composition forever.
Yes.
But some people do accept that change, that alteration, so that they can get on the right track.
Right.
And we just hope and pray that all the people that do elect for that surgery, that does help them. But
Right. Well, I can tell you, sadly, I have a friend that actually had the surgery and had lost probably about 150 to 175 pounds and has gained some of it back and now has diabetes. And that breaks my heart because it was supposed to be to make life better. And
Yeah.
now there's consequences that are coming
Yeah.
from that decision. Now, that doesn't mean everybody that has that
Right.
surgery is going to encounter that, but this person
Right.
in particular
Yeah.
did. And I just have so much compassion because that is a really, really painful and challenging
Yeah.
surgery to go through in the first place. And then there are other surgeries that can come along with that for skin removal as well. So there's a lot going on here. A lot of times it's not just the one surgery, there's multiples after that because
Yeah.
of the appearance and how the body looks and how the person feels about that. And that's the thing that is not thought about because the weight loss is so quick.
With dramatic and rapid weight loss comes loose skin.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yep, that's true.
Yeah, and that's hard because then you have to go for the next surgery and the next surgery to remove that if you so choose,
Yeah.
or you have to figure out how to feel comfortable in that body that has
Yeah.
now changed so dramatically. So there's a lot of things that are happening here, not only physically but emotionally and mentally, and sometimes for some people spiritually as well. So there's a lot going into that decision.
Yeah, yeah. And, you know, so, I mean, we've gone over all these options for weight loss, for, you know, the dieting, the medication and the
Right.
supplements, the weight loss surgery. And we've kind of, you know, outlined the drawbacks.
Yeah.
And, you know, I have actually, I mean, I have heard of success stories as well. And I'm very pleased to hear those success stories.
Yes.
But those success stories come few and far between, it seems to me.
I agree.
Yeah.
That's been in my experience as well.
And so what is another solution? What's another way to do this?
Well, like I was speaking about individuality, bio-individuality, how we're all unique individuals and how it's so important to really go with what your body wants. And for me, that took a long time because I was very disconnected from my body because I did not like my body. I didn't like the way it looked. I didn't feel comfortable in it. And so when I started looking at health as the reason why I wanted to release the extra weight from my body, that's the change. That was the change for me, making the shift from how I looked to how my health was.
Wow. So
Yeah.
you went from being concerned about your appearance
Yes.
to being concerned about how healthy are you.
Yes. And to me, I started logically thinking, okay, if my health as well, and I'm investing in my health, and I take that time to do that, then my life could actually be better. I didn't know, but this is something I hadn't done before. I didn't look at it from a health perspective. I looked at it more, like I said, from the appearance and vanity perspective. And when I did that, that's the change. And I started listening to my body. I started actually having a relationship with my body where I would feel a certain way. I wanted certain things, and I would give my body what it wanted. And naturally, the body started to change. My body started to release that weight, and I didn't have to keep it on. And also the stress of having to look quote unquote perfect all the time was removed because it was about health. So the stress was changed. Now, that didn't mean that I was in a bad situation with my health or anything like that. I wasn't like having cholesterol or high blood pressure issues, but it was how I was feeling inside my body.
Are you somebody who was obsessed over the scale?
I used to be obsessed over the scale. I used to be. And it was something that I did pretty much daily.
Yeah.
And then, of course, if the numbers didn't shift the way I wanted them to, I would go into a self-abusive mind, talk, if you will.
Yeah.
That's when it's not good enough. Look at you doing it, and you still haven't lost anything. Look, it's been days.
And then you were seeking other solutions.
Absolutely. And the thing I wasn't realizing is that when you're going through a change and you start making these changes in your life, that there's going to be levels that it's going to go up and it's going to go down. It's like anything. And it's going to have those changes, but it takes time.
Right.
I didn't gain the weight that I gained in a matter of days, weeks, or even months. It was years that it took me. So I had to look at it from a health perspective. I want to do this so it's healthy and not quick and rapid. And that was a huge thing. I've always done that. And even in all of the diets I've ever done, I have to say I have been very fortunate that I didn't have loose skin, and that I have done it in such a way that I was able to maintain the suppleness of my skin. So I am very grateful for that. But again, the health piece of it, that's why working with a health coach can make such a huge difference in your life. Someone that is
a nutrition coach, someone who's an expert in
right
what your how to identify your bio-individuality.
Right. And the bio-individuality pieces of it is working with a health coach. And that's the reason why I've taken that up, because I know what it's like. I understand what it's like to live like that every single day. So that's the reason why I'm stepping up to the plate, what I can do. I've already worked on myself. And so that's why I'm doing what I'm doing, so I can help others to get to a place that I'm at today where I feel comfortable in my body. I don't shame my body anymore. I actually appreciate what it does for me. I love what it does for me, and I'm grateful that I have the body I have now. And that's going from somebody that absolutely hated their body and everything about it to now I love my body, I appreciate it, and I'm grateful for it. Huge, huge transformation.
So many of us are obsessed with getting in shape for the summer because the summer months are coming up.
Right.
And you want to, or maybe there's some event coming up, a wedding or something like that.
Or your birthday.
Anything like that, where there becomes a sudden obsession with, I got to get into shape. And that's about that appearance again. And I think that a lot of that stress about the appearance, again, it comes from that industry, the diet industry. There's social media, there's peer pressure, because we all, when you see celebrities, they're all pressured to look a certain way. I don't know where all this originated from, way back when, but it's gotten to be this thing that's just it's just snowballed into something which is out of control.
Right.
And so, I don't know, wouldn't you think that maybe, how about a mindset shift?
Well, that's what I was talking about earlier, is that I started getting away from the vanity piece and started looking at the health piece, and that was the mindset. And that was the big shift. That made all the difference in the world for me in making decisions. And I know that being a yo-yo dieter all these years, there were definitely things that I had started to remove from my life just on my own. And it was just, I just didn't want it anymore. But as far as what was really happening within me, it was in here first. So I got this part, the mindset part that we're talking about, on straight with health being the number one reason why I was doing what I was doing. So when you're looking at your own diet, if you will, and what diet actually means, lifestyle, and which I didn't know before, but lifestyle, living a certain lifestyle, I was doing a lot of packaged foods, processed foods, quick stuff, fast food, just the quick fix so I could get going in my day and do whatever. I'd go through the Dunkin' Donuts drive-through and, get the coffee and the bagel with the egg and, roll it. And what I realized is what these things were making me feel in my body. I started, because I was diagnosed with fibromyalgia years ago, and I said, I don't believe in that. Like, I really had a hard time wrapping my head around fibromyalgia. And so I started paying attention to my body and when I would feel certain pains and when I would feel certain ways. And I started realizing it was actually the food I was putting in my body that was making the pain go up. So it was inflammation in my body, and it was rising up because of what I was putting in my body.
That makes complete sense.
Yeah, I had to take the time.
It fits.
Yeah.
And so many of us are searching for that quick solution, or that rapid, we were talking about the rapid weight loss and all that, that perhaps, like in your case, you didn't see the obvious solution.
No.
Because you were looking for it. And in all fairness to you, there's an entire industry out there. Well, there's multiple industries out there. There's the medical industry, there's the food industry, there's the diet industry, and there's also the entertainment industry that is pressuring you to look for solutions.
And society, Bill.
And society,
Yep.
Right.
Big one.
And so the first step that you took in this was that mindset shift.
Yes.
That's awesome. And, I think that's something that we all should be thinking about for ourselves is our mindset around health versus appearance.
Yeah.
Which is it?
Yeah.
Is it going to be your health, or is it going to be your appearance? And in actuality, when it
Read
comes
my
down to
mind.
when you chose health over your appearance got way better.
Yeah, it did. It did. And not just my appearance, but my confidence. And also how I physically felt got better too, like I was talking about. I don't have the quote unquote fibromyalgia diagnosis any longer.
Right, yeah.
Because I don't have the pain I used to have any longer because of the change in my lifestyle.
And I also don't want to be too shallow in saying that your appearance looks so much better. What I'm really getting to, and I mean by that, is that you seem so much happier. You look to me like you are living a life that you are just enjoying.
I am.
And it's a pleasure to be around you. You're just so much happier.
Right.
And so that part of your appearance is so attractive.
Thank you. Well, when you are happier, you're going to be happier when you're taking care of yourself.
Yeah.
When your body is feeling well, when it's moving the way you want it to. I mean, I'm doing things movement-wise that I never have ever been able to do before.
Yeah.
I really had a hard time with my core, and I started practicing yoga. And so all of these things slowly over time has made the difference, and I am happier and I am much healthier.
So we encourage everyone to take a look first at your mindset and really evaluate how much you are paying attention to the advertising from the industries that we were talking about, the food industry, the drug industry, the entertainment industry, and the diet industry. And take an evaluation, kind of take a measurement of how much that's really affecting you and what influence that has on you and the decisions that you make about what it is that you're eating and maybe what the supplements are that you're considering, or a diet that you might be thinking about doing, and have an evaluation of that and contrast that with your mindset on health and what health means to you, what your health means to you. I mean, we all say to each other, if you don't have your health, then what have you got?
Right.
So first things first, take a look at that, evaluate that. And we also encourage you to visit us at htnforyou.com. That's HTN, the number 4 and the letter U.com. And join our community there. Well, you'll find like-minded individuals like yourself who are also on a journey of wellness. And we hope to see you there.